Okay. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, again, from wherever you're logging in. Welcome to this second podcast in the marquee series of Where Strategy Meets Execution, where myself, Shantanu Kelkar, and Aniket, we sit together to discuss on a variety of topics that are very important and pertinent for SMBs, small and medium businesses, especially in the manufacturing sector, but even otherwise. So today's podcast will be focusing on resilient supply chains for SMBs. My name is Shantanu Kelkar. I am a founder at 1.618 Business Consulting. Over the last couple of decades, I have worked with companies and I have helped companies grow, blending traditional wisdom with tech-driven solution, grow them in digitalization space and in the strategy space. So joining me is Aniket Vaktore. He's a senior consultant and an ex-Amazon, ex-Cummins expert on supply chain transformation as well. So welcome, Aniket, to this second podcast of the series. You want to
Yes.
quickly introduce yourselves?
Yes. Thanks, Shantanu. It's great to be here. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon from all parts of the world that you're joining. Yes, as Shantanu already gave my introduction, but yeah, I have almost 50 years of experience, global supply chain leadership, driven some uh, $1 million saving solutions at Amazon. I have Six Sigma certification as well, and working in US, I've seen I've worked with some SMB manufacturers as well, worked with the suppliers, so have a lot of experience dealing with their problems and also providing solutions to them. So this podcast will share a lot of case studies as well as a lot of good examples that I hope all the SMB manufacturer who are watching this podcast, they will find immense help from this and email. So sit tight and wherever you are, and then just enjoy this podcast. I'm sure most of your pain points or problems, you'll find solutions in this. So let's go.
Great. And today's topic is a particularly big one. I think again, very relevant, very pertinent for SMBs. What we'll try to cover today are some very practical solutions for forecasting and inventory management and supplier risk management that SMBs in India or even otherwise can really adopt. Very, I would say, realistic and practical solutions. I think going back to what our overall theme is where strategy meets execution. We have tried to make it very data driven and very specific so that it doesn't just become an apple pie statement, right? So let's start. I think let's look at the key crisis, the main address the elephant in the room. Why are supply chain resilience? Why is supply chain resilience critical? What is the big picture and the big problem that SMBs could be currently facing? Right. So we have seen the in COVID or post COVID as well. Since 2020, the global disruptions in supply chain have really hit the small and medium businesses very hard. Uh, Given the demographics or given the size of the company, given the amount of resources that they have access to, the type of teams that they have, the supply chain disruptions have especially hit harder for SMBs than probably some of the global companies, who could maybe marshal their resources better. But for SMBs with an already limited set of resources, that particular period of time was or even is now, as we speak, quite a difficult one to navigate. Right, Aniket?
Yes, absolutely. And look at the numbers. 57% of the organizations say real-time visibility is their top challenge, right?
Mm.
And then infrastructure issues alone add up to around 15 to 20% extra cost to the logistic. So
Right.
Shantanu, to me, Indian SMEs, they lose around 4.5 lakh crore. That's a staggering number to
Yeah.
the supply chain disruptions.
Yeah, and then we are talking about the digitalization piece of it. We also spoke about it in our last podcast last week, and today as well. We'll be focusing on that. I think um, the solutions are out there, but then as you see the statistics here, almost 70% of Indian SMBs, they still lack awareness about essential digital supply chain tools. So, on one hand, you have a big problem. On the other hand, you have a solution, but then the two aren't meeting as well as they should. And it's all about the SMBs getting up and smelling the coffee, as they say. The solution is out there. I think what we'll go through now is to see how that those digital tools can really be employed to mitigate this big challenge. Right?
Correct.
So maybe we move on and we can start talking specifically about the
Unique.
situation or the
Yes.
challenges that the Indian SMBs are facing. you know Again, the statistics are there for everyone to see. We have picked out some key ones here, but if you just look at the top two, infrastructure deficiencies, only zero point 0.2 square feet warehousing per capita versus 47.3 in the US. So you can imagine the gap that Indian SMBs are facing in the infrastructure space. Uh,
100%.
Even
And
access
then
to financing, the funding gap was 14 lakh crore given the requirement that they had in 2025 versus what they actually got in terms of
got
financing. Yeah.
100%. And look at the regulatory landscape. That is also complex in India, right? With varying taxes and compliance requirements. So there is also around 14 lakh crore infrastructure funding gap looming by 2025. That also adds up here.
Yeah,
Uh,
and then I think the problem cuts across. It cuts across functions. It cuts, as I said, it starts from the lack of awareness, but then also in terms of resources that they have access to, the kind of skills that are available in the market today. So you do have shortage of digital and technical skills. So it's, even though you are embarking on a digital journey, it's not that you'll easily find those kind of skills just sitting out there in the market. So that's an issue, but it's an issue that can be tackled. And I think what really needs to be thought about is not to become, as it says here, a digital hollow core company. Don't think of digitalization as just something that is on the facade. It's not just something that you want to show to the world. It's something that you are built up of. Your fundamental building blocks are of that nature, and the DNA becomes digital. So
Correct.
that's also something that where the gap exists. But again, a big opportunity for SMBs to start focusing on.
Absolutely. All right. Moving on to the next slide. I think that covers the cost of inaction. Uh, Let me hold on a minute.
Yeah, I think I see unique challenges, and then it's just loading.
Yeah. Let me. How about this? I can open up presentation on my end. There's some technical glitches happening.
Yeah,
Uh,
or you can put it in slide format. Um, just
yes, that is what I'm. Yeah.
increase the
I'll stop
increase
sharing
the zoom.
this and then share. Okay. Let me know. You can see my screen.
Yes, we can see the presentation as well,
Okay.
and you're on a slide.
Cost of
The cost of
inaction.
inaction. That's right.
Go ahead. Yeah. So yeah, when we ignore these gaps, it's costly, right? Stockouts account for 15 to 30% revenue. That is straight away revenue loss.
Mm.
Average excess inventory sits about around 38%, and 72% of SMB struggle with lead time variability. So that does affect their bottom line, right?
Yeah, and
Shantanu,
it
you want to add
also
anything?
impacts their customer retention. It Customer dissatisfaction. It leads to lost customers. It impacts their bottom line by increasing the freight costs, and also really inhibits the potential to scale up, right? So the dependency on,
100%.
let's say, single suppliers, as it says here, also increases the risk. All eggs in one basket, as they say. But I think as we go through the presentation now or the podcast now, we'll see that there are uh, right ways to do this stuff, and as the supply chain becomes more resilient, companies are in fact almost three times as likely to be successful with a resilient supply chain than without. So let's get down to that.
100%.
Uh,
Sure.
so we uh, between ourselves, we like to lay it out as the framework as three pillars of supply chain resilience: demand forecasting, inventory optimization, and supplier risk management. And we'll go through each one of them. But each of them, again, has some very uh, easy to adopt and practical tools that one can start using or start implementing immediately, and they are all proven frameworks with very measurable KPIs. So you can track and trace your progress as you go along. So let's deep dive into each of them quickly, Aniket.
Sure. Yeah, so this is a pillar one, pragmatic demand for forecasting. So here's how to get started. Step one, use any Excel tools for rolling averages and weighted forecast. There are several techniques about demand forecasting, uh, that has been used. Now the AI is also come up, but the traditional ones are the Delphi, Force Composite Service, etc.
Mm,
I mean, those are pretty accurate. Start with those. Just 2 hours a month can make a huge difference, I would say.
yeah, yeah. On the customer side, I think just talk to your customers. I think, again, no fancy stuff there. I think what works best is just pick up the phone, talk to your customers. You know who your top 5, 10 customers are. Uh, just get a feel of what their monthly demand cycle would be. And that input itself would make a significant difference in terms of the percentage accuracy of your demand forecast, right? So,
100%. And the last one, I think the scenario planning, you have to map out your all scenarios between low, medium, and high
mm,
in terms of probabilities, and then have to have a define your action triggers. What would lead to this, that scenario. Have
right.
a clearly lay out that will
Mm.
help you to plan it better, to plan this demand forecasting with all these scenario planning.
Yeah, and Aniket, it might look simple or sound simple, use an Excel sheet or pick up a phone and call your customers, etc. But you have to start
It
with
does.
these smaller steps, and these are
Correct.
simple steps. They, by themselves, have proven to cut down forecast errors from 30% to 10%, as you can see here.
100. Yeah.
And only a handful of SMBs, probably a quarter of them, could be using AI or even simple AI tools, simple Excel tools for forecasting. So the
Yes.
opportunity is large, even to start using these basic steps and achieve some very low hanging fruits in efficiency and accuracy improvement.
100%. 100%. And yeah, there's like case in IGPS Florida. They did use this, and
Mhm.
they did see a lot of improvement in their warehouses optimization. We'll cover some of the case studies in later of the slides. So uh, we'll just go to the next one. Pillar
Mm.
two. This is also smart inventory management.
Mhm.
So inventory, as you know, it affects your bottom line of the business. So it's very critical. How do you manage it? ABC analysis, it's very fundamental. I mean, it all depends on how do you framework this, and how you segregate these inventories in different buckets
Mm.
based on their criticality. The A item could be most critical, high critical, because how it has been used, how many times it is being used, and also what is its lead time from the
Mm.
supplier. If it is higher, then definitely it will be higher on your criticality ranking, and so on and so forth. And B and C would be less critical, but then again, you have to actually bucket in inventory into these three three buckets, and then start from there.
Right, right. And once you get that visibility, it becomes easier for companies to then adopt specific actions for the three different types of categories of products or the inventory that they are in. For example, for critical items, they can possibly adopt a just in case light safety stock strategy. Now, that might sound a mouthful, but it's really how supply chain management has evolved over the years. We all know
Yes,
just in time strategy, but with COVID, people are all now looking at an evolution of that, and they are now coming up with just in case supply
correct.
chain strategy as well. And if you marry the two, if you take best of both worlds, you get just in case light. So it's really being very aware and looking at your inventory and supply chain very dynamically. And you have inventory softwares today who help you do that. Just using a very basic inventory management software can reduce your lead times by 66%. And again, we have a case study here. You can look it up, the little potato company, LTPC, LPCL as they call them in the
Yeah,
US. They used a very basic inventory management software, and they were able to raise their fill rate from 91% to 98% just by using that
that's
software.
staggering.
So, yeah,
That's definitely staggering. Yeah, and that gain itself, it improves your financial results, isn't it?
absolutely.
Uh,
So
yeah,
that 8%, you might see that it all flows down directly into your bottom line. I think as again
absolutely.
we touched upon that topic on our last podcast. Those initial
Yes,
marginal efficiency gains, they all boil down to your bottom line because then you have already covered for the fixed costs.
correct. All right, next slide. This is the supply risk management slide, pillar number three.
Right.
This is also very fundamentally important when you talk about suppliers, right?
Mhm.
When companies have like wide range of suppliers, but then sometimes they are for certain items they are locked in onto only certain supplier because in the past it has been worked well for them.
Mhm. Mhm.
But COVID has been a disruptor, right? You have seen what is the risk of, like, if you have a supply chain tied to one geographical location or maybe one single supplier, what risk it would get to your financial results, also to your customer, right? Getting the
Right.
parts to the customer. So the key takeaway here is diversify your supplier, at least two for every critical supplier.
Mhm.
So, and then balance out global and local sources, right? Around 80 to 20 split is a good rule.
Yeah.
But again, it is just the thumb rule, does not mean that it will be applicable in everywhere. You
Yeah.
have to map it out in your individual case and look at your supplier base and diversify, I mean, come up with the supplier risk
Yeah.
scorecard,
Yeah.
and then take it from there.
Yeah. And I
Go ahead,
think,
Shantanu, you want to add?
yeah, what I think also happens is many times the companies do have a plan for their supplier rationalization, vendor rationalization plans, but most of them don't fructify. They don't get executed well because many times companies tend to think that if it's working well, why to disturb it? If it ain't broke, don't repair it. That's how they go for it. But we have seen in just in the last 25 years, even if you look at the overall trends, the last 25, 30 years, you are hit by a disruption in some form every 6 or 7 years. So uh, plan as if the next disruption is around the corner. You saw that in 2008, you saw that in 2014, in 2020. So 6 or 7 years, one way or the other, there is a reset, there is a reboot. And it's only then that SMBs really wake up once the crisis has hit, and then they start thinking about these issues. But that's not how it should be approached. Plan for these things,
Worst
qualify
case.
your backup
Yes.
suppliers right away, and start
Yes.
tracking your key metrics like on-time delivery, lead time variability, etc. Right.
100%.
Again,
Good point, Shantanu.
yeah.
And then I completely concur with your when you say. you know, you have to think about like the next disruption is around the corner. And
Yeah,
then you can think of, like, if you want to quantify it, you can assign some probabilities, but then think about the loss, like, even if there is a 1 to 2% probability, but then amount of disruption, what would be the impact?
the cost of disruption would
That's
be
something
quite
you
high.
need to do, the impact analysis. That will give you the answer. Okay, even if this small probability, but if it happens, this is going to be a big discriminant, the impact is going to be huge, and then
Right.
what we need to have a plan to do that, to cover for that.
No, absolutely well said.
All right, the
So
next one.
yeah, let's look at some of the digital tools. Then probably we have looked at the three pillars of
Sure.
making your supply chain resilient. Now let's look at how you can do that. Uh, you know, Again, we spoke about it last time. Don't bite more than you can chew. So always think of it as a progressive adoption path. You don't have to go digital overnight. As Aniket pointed out, start with the basics. Start with Excel-based forecasting, then probably move to a cloud-based inventory system software, and then try and employ AI and machine learning tools as your business grows. But uh, again, a big roadblock that SMBs probably think or put upon for themselves is, they have this FOMO, fear of missing out, that everyone's talking digital and we haven't even employed an AI ML tool yet. It's not necessary. You have to progress to that level, not jump to that level directly, right?
100%. 100%. And then cloud ARP and MES said they can boost sales by 50% with no extra headcount.
Yeah.
But as again, you need to start from ground up, like, start with the foundation, then go into the digital core, and then into the intelligence.
Hmm.
uh, so that is very crucial. Let's go on to the next slide, slide
Yeah.
number 10.
Again, this is a strategic framework that NIST has laid out, National Institute of Standards and Technologies. So it covers the key strategic levers for a resilient supply chain. Dual source critical items. We already spoke about that. Improve forecasting. Again, we covered that in our pillars. Build safety stock for A items. Cross train staff. I think that's very important. Again, I have seen from my personal experience that. Um, it, Companies become more resilient when there are people around the core group who know what to do when a crisis strikes, or who know what to do in the core function as well. So train your staff on bubble assignments, let them work cross function, let them
Yes.
take up additional responsibilities along with their day jobs so that they know what to do in case of, you have to really change your supply chain strategy. Pool purchasing, developing in-house expertise for doing that, and documenting those contingency plans. I think that rounds up the seven strategic levers for us.
Very good. Yes,
Yeah,
and that's why our goal is to move from fragile to resilient, step by step.
correct. Step by step is the
All
key.
right. So next slide, measuring success. How? What are the
Yeah,
critical KPIs? We will cover that. Yeah.
right. So again, you cannot change what you cannot manage, what you cannot see, or you cannot manage what you cannot measure, as they say. That's the specific use of words. So track what matters, find out what matters first in your case. Again, as Aniket pointed out, it could be slightly different for each company, but then if you just take a step back and see, it would be easy to pick out the top 5 or 6 areas which matter the most for your supply chain processes, and improve the forecast accuracy in those specific processes. Look at some KPIs like OTIF, your on-time fill rate or on-time delivery rate, your inventory turnovers. You know what the good benchmark is. Try to achieve them. Just take 5 KPIs and put in actions to achieve those five in the first phase of your implementation.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think these numbers that given are kind of a rough ballpark. I mean, start with that if you do not have anything, but then you can always refine it. I mean, strategically, supply chain costs around 8 to 13%. That's what I have seen all across in US. Yeah, I'm pretty sure in India also they follow the similar guidelines, but maybe you can refine that later as you get your maturity on the supply chain gets improved. Um, the cash to cash cycles under 30 days, that's also pretty standard. And then reduce stockouts to zero.
Yeah,
That's also, stockouts are the major killer for your, it hurts your inventory KPIs a lot. So you have to match out, and that's why you need to have all these processes that we have developed. Like, start with the inventory management, then start with your supplier mapping, develop scorecards. Those are all important on how they affect to this critical KPIs.
correct. And then again, as you said, they could be different for different industries, but even understanding at least 5 or 10 of your cohorts or your peers in your industry
Mm.
will tell you what the general industry benchmark is, and then just go by that. Yeah.
Go by that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
So
right. Next one, phase
yeah,
implementation. Yeah.
all of this, I think, can be done in a very time-bound manner, or should be done in a very time-bound manner. Again, if you don't put goals for yourselves, milestones for yourselves, it will just go on, on a scope creep. So
Mm.
you can plan it out for over an 18-month journey. Your phase one can be for 6 months. Go for the ABC classification of your inventory, start using Excel forecasting and supplier scorecards, identify those A items and what specific actions you would take for them, like the just in case light supply store supply chain strategy. The next
Yes.
6 months could be, or next 12 months could be, you're implementing the phase two, which would go on to using cloud systems or dual sourcing for critical items, implementing software for automatic reordering of your critical items as as stock replenishment, so that you don't encounter stock out scenarios. And then the last stage, as we have pointed out, could be implementing AI/ML tools. You could integrate IoT sensors in your processes in order to give you real-time updates on your inventory and your supply chain. And you could go for integration of ERP and MES systems, which then becomes the overall cohesive system, which gives very highly scaled benefits. So that's how you can look at
100%.
it. Yeah.
And that's this is the framework: 60/30/10. 60% put your resources on 60% on supply development, which is, that's going to take most of their time. Then 30% on technology development, and then 10% on your inventory management and buffer inventory.
Yeah, that's a good
I'm
thumb
just
rule to
watching on
use.
time right now, Shantanu. Let's cover two of the case studies, and then,
Yeah,
because
let's
I
do
don't
that.
want. Is that okay? All right.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, this is the one of the case study. You want to start?
Yeah.
Uh,
So again,
Pune.
a very real example of how an Indian, a Pune-based auto parts firm, they faced downtime due to missing critical components and wasted space on low-value bolts. So they were facing the same challenge as we are talking about right now. And they also implemented the solutions that we just spoke about. So, by doing that
Yes.
ABC analysis, I think they got some very clear benefits, results out of that.
Yes, cut down by 85% and got full ROI within 12 months, which is staggering.
Yeah, that,
Let's
it's
Yeah,
possible,
sorry.
just the example just
It
shows that
is
it's possible. I think the
100.
other example here, the Toyota semiconductor strategy, it's interesting because it's on the other end of the spectrum in terms of the company size. But then again, a lot of takeaways and learnings that even SMBs can implement out of that, right? So this probably shows that companies like Toyota were thinking of the next disruption cycle even back in 2011. That's when they started investing in their chip stockpiles. And as 2020, 2021 hit, they were the ones who were on the dry ground. They
Yes.
they they were saved from that.
Yeah, and when the global chip shortage hit in the 2021, the Toyota was the only one. Like, they kept running while others stopped.
Right.
That resilience generated around $3 billion in revenue,
Yeah,
in EBIT.
EBIT lift.
So, like, look at that. That's where you see all these staggering results, and plan ahead for all
I
the,
think they had a
like,
20 billion EBIT
disruptions
in
that you will not.
2021. and a 3 billion lift in that
Yeah.
is almost like, one third of that, probably.
Word of that. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. All right.
right.
So let's try to go. We'll wrap up this. We'll provide an action plan, and then towards, because we are right on the top of the hour,
Yep,
7:30.
let's do
Yeah.
that.
So let's cover
Good
the 90
morning.
day action plan. Week 1 to 2 is assess, map out your supplier, classify inventory, review the demand. Week 3 to 6, plan it, build your forecast model that we just covered, set some safety stock, do the ABC analysis, and then find the backups, do the dual sourcing. That is what
Mm,
say, identify backup suppliers.
yeah.
Week
And
7 to 12, that's always the execution.
mm,
Implement the scorecard, dual sourcing, track APIs, all that. We
right. Yeah, and again, we have seen that just this 90-day period, you can already start seeing about 20% drop in stockouts, or
Mhm.
even if you measure accuracy of your forecasts, it improves by 15 to 20%. So these are some real numbers that we have seen in the industry, and something that can be you can easily start achieving immediately as you start on this journey.
100%.
So, yeah, I
100%.
think some very cool practical tips that companies can take away from here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah,
Uh,
that's one reason why you can partner with us. Both of us, we specialize in this particular space, trying to help SMBs, Indian SMBs, in particular, where they are resource constrained, but they have a great, huge growth potential, and their ambitions are also big. We offer end-to-end support in assessing the current business landscape, current supply chain landscape, selecting the right tools to achieve all the benefits, the results that we just spoke about. Also, handhold through the implementation phase and really take them to the outcome. So we try to make it very outcome focused, not just process focused, right?
yeah.
So we can
Yeah, and
reach out
our
to us.
solutions are proven, actionable, and they are built for your reality. So there's
Yeah,
no fluff in that. So just book a call. I'll leave out our contact numbers and all that in this slide, for you to take it, note it. Again, we are available. Our LinkedIn profiles are already there where we are hosting this. So contact us, any of us, through the message, LinkedIn message, and then we'll definitely book a 90-day free assessment for you to do this vulnerability analysis, custom roadmap, and ROI projections.
yeah,
All right.
great.
So, what are your final key takeaways, Santanu?
I think I would just like to sign off by saying that it's again not if you should do it, it's when you want to do it. Resilience in your supply chain isn't a luxury anymore. It's very critical for survival going forward. You have already seen how disruptions impact you. Now it's time to get up and prepare, be resilient for the next one. So we'll talk soon. But until that time, thank you for attending today's podcast, and stay safe. Do good business. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. All right. Talk to you later. Bye bye.
All right. Have a good day then. Bye bye.